schools and give them the cash they need.
Elmer Walker.
Thank you, Sir David. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, and I thank my honourable friend for leading on this debate. And last week I spoke in the estimates debate on education funding, appealing for increased funding for our schools and our colleges. And every inquiry for the Education Select Committee seems to me to always reference the lack of appropriate or misdirected funding as a cause for many of the problems. And as a teacher and head teacher of 34 years, I'm not speaking politically now, I'm speaking personally as a professional, that I get so frustrated at the fact that we're having to come to debates like this and to come cap in hand so often, and teachers do, to appeal for funding, which is every child's right to have a quality education. However, I would like to thank the teachers, head teachers and parents who've signed this petition and brought it to Parliament for this debate. My colleagues, both in education and politics, will no doubt agree with me that the passion and determination of those in the education sector should never, ever be underestimated. This is the passion that drives teachers, teaching assistants and others who want to see children get the best education possible, to take on extra work and responsibilities, or use their own money to buy learning resources schools can't afford. But it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be the case that 95% of schools in my constituency are facing real terms cuts in per pupil funding. I will give way to my honourable friend.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way. The schools in my constituency in Bedford and Kempston will lose £1,000 per primary school class and £1,600 per secondary school class. This is despite the promises by this government that the National Funding Formula will fix everything. The reality is the class sizes are going up and the funding for the schools is going down. Will my honourable friend agree with me that this government is hopelessly out of touch about the crisis in our schools, and parents, teachers and people know better than to be fooled by the paltry funding for little extra?
I thank my honourable friend for his intervention, and I completely agree. And having spoken to many head teachers in my constituency and around the country, they are now saying they have made it work, and now they are crossing red lines where they can no longer continue to make proper provision for the children in their schools. I'm just going to make progress, just 1 minute, if that's okay. Yeah. Combe Valley secondary schools shouldn't have a total annual shortfall of over 1,360,000, and primaries a total of over 1,720,000. It isn't difficult to see how rising pupil numbers and reductions in funding are putting schools in such a terrible position. I'll give way to my
Very, very grateful. I just wanted to reinforce the point you made about head teachers and how they're literally at the end of their tether. One of my constituents, who is an officer for the NAHT, and happens to be in the gallery today, organised a very useful meeting for me with head teachers from across my constituency. A number of them had been in the teaching profession, like I know the Honourable Lady was, for decades, and a number of them also said they had never, under any previous government, seen anything like the size of these cuts before. Does she agree, and has she heard the same from her head teacher?
I absolutely concur, and can speak personally that under the last Labour government, I ran a school, I had a headship for 2 schools, and had a school with a Sure Start Centre, which was funded adequately and was making a real difference to the quality of children's lives and families' lives. I can speak personally about the investment from a previous Labour government. At my last meeting with Combe Valley head teachers, I was told that funding issues have led to cuts in staffing, resources and difficulties in SEND provision. And I know that this is the case for head teachers up and down the country. These cuts have also limited opportunities for learning within schools. A recent report by the Fabian Society found that there's been a dramatic decline in arts provision in primary schools, and that this is also of poorer quality than in 2010. So too for modern foreign languages. Analysis from the BBC shows a drop in the number of pupils taking a GCSE language course of between 30 and 50%. The Sixth Form Colleges Association revealed that 50% of schools and colleges have dropped courses in modern foreign languages because of funding pressures, with A-levels in German, French and Spanish as the main casualties. The Honourable gentleman spoke earlier about equipping the school children for future workforce. A decline in the number of young people taking modern foreign languages is going to impact negatively on that for the future. Not only are these funding cuts putting an unnecessary and unwelcome amount of pressure on professionals, they're taking away from what should be a broad and balanced curriculum. The government needs to listen to professionals on issues in the system, on the types of learning and environment which benefit children, and on the level of resources it will take to deliver them. The decisions being taken should be responsive to what's happening and shouldn't trivialise concerns, offering out only little extras here and there. I know that the people supporting the campaign to better fund our schools, colleges and sixth forms are going to keep going, and I hope that this debate today reassures them that they have allies in this place who are listening and who will stand with them.